Hey guys, hope you all have been well. Welcome back to my channel. Today is going to be an eyeshadow collection video. As I promised in my previous one, this was supposed to go up last Friday, but a bunch of things came up unexpectedly and I had to tend to them, so I'm finally going to get to my eyeshadow collection. So starting off with my cream shadows, this is a Charlotte Tilbury Eyes to Mesmerize. This first one here is in rose gold. This is sort of like a one and done eyeshadow look, and I call these my appointment eyeshadows because whenever I have an appointment to go to, these are the ones that I plop on my eyes. Sometimes I bring it into the car and then I'll do my makeup after I find parking. They've stayed creamy this whole time. The shade here is in Star Gold, and I do have Amber Gold on my radar, but not quite yet. This one here is the Chromium Liquid Eyeshadow from Natasha Denona. It is a multi-chrome. It's very unique. It's sort of like this lime green, pink and purple blend. I really like this, and I find myself just using this on its own as well. I have these three petite quads from Viseart. Fun fact, I looked up on Google Translate how to pronounce this word and I already forgot how to do it, so I'm so sorry. But the pink version, but I've used these in a couple of videos. I like the quads. I feel like they could use some darker shades, but overall the quality is really good. And then here we have the Lila's quad. This is more silver based. Just get rid of this as well. If you have medium to deeper complexions, I would say that this is a very subtle look. And then this one here is in Praline, which is probably my favorite one out of these quads. It has the deepest shade out of all the three that I own. Moving on, Natasha Denona, we have a mini palette. This is the Mini Zendo. I am obsessed with this palette, and rightfully so, because I love the look that I do whenever I use this palette. Next up, we have Viseart's, what is this called? Paris Etoile. I forgot how to pronounce it. I looked up the pronunciation for this one as well, but I really do like the color story. It's not something that I gravitate towards on the regular, but it is pretty, and I've come up with some pretty cute looks using this small little palette here. Next up, we have Viseart's Spritz Edit palette. I just cut up the cardboard and place the colors there. This is what the palette looks like. It's gorgeous, it's warm. I know I could do away with this shade, but overall it's a really good palette. All right, so now we're at my three Tom Fords, the ones that I can't get rid of. I've had them forever and I refuse to give them up. So the first one here is in Honeymoon. Out of all of the gelée formulas that Tom Ford has released and that I've picked up, this is the one that I like the most. I really like sort of that sultry look that it gives, and so it's a gelée quad that I decided to keep in my collection. Next up, we have Cognac Sable. This is my first Tom Ford quad ever, and I have a very hard time getting rid of it because of how obsessed I was when I first got it, and since it's been discontinued, I'm kind of like refusing to give it up because I can never get it again. And then lastly, we have the ever famous Cocoa Mirage. All four of these shades are mattes and they are buttery and creamy and amazing. I can't pass it up. Next up, we have Wayne Goss, and this is his luxury eyeshadow. What is it called? The Luxury Eye Palette, and I have this one in Pearl. Very bridal, very everyday, and this glittery shade just is a great way to top off the eyeshadow look. Next up, we have Viseart's Paris Love Letter palette. And I hate these things. Why do I keep it? This is one of my most recent purchases. I haven't played with it a whole lot yet, but I would say it's light to medium, very spring friendly. And this was actually going to be my next Viseart purchase. So when I saw it on sale, snagged it up, and I could not be more excited. Next up, we have the Viseart Cashmere palette. Again, I cut out the box basically. This one here is a bit more cool tone. It's got a bit more depth to it, and I've really been enjoying this. I really do like the color story. I think I could do with a few more different mattes and maybe trade out these two, but overall this palette drew me in immediately, so I did snag it up. Here we have the Mingset palette, and unfortunately, I don't know why I did this, but I was gonna cut up the box so that I could put the shades up here like I did with the other palettes, and eventually my dumb mind decided to put the box in with the rest of my trash and I threw it out. But this happens to be my favorite Viseart palette that I currently own. I feel like the color story is perfect for me. Again, I could do away with some of these colors up on top, but overall it's stunning. I do get a variation of depths with the shimmers and the mattes, and it's just stunningly gorgeous. Okay, Mented Cosmetics. I've talked about this palette forever and a day, every single time, but it is just, I mean, come on, look at that. I put it on par with some of the more expensive eyeshadow palettes that I own. This is just, it's so good, and I just cannot sing its praises enough. It's too freaking good. Now recently I had put this ColourPop just like regular singles palette together, and I had finally gotten rid of my ColourPop stuff. So I have Coconut Grove, I have some of my MAC shades, JD Glow stuff, and that is it. These MAC shades can fit in my other MAC singles palette, and they're a bit more colorful. This is a Spare of Saddle, and so I decided to keep it in this smaller eyeshadow singles palette from ColourPop. Now let us reorganize once again. All right, let's move on to the bigger eyeshadows. Look at all of these. Look at all these unnecessary things. Raw. Okay, here we are with the bigger palettes. Not too many, honestly. I feel like the smaller ones would take up more space if they were around the same size. And I'm going to start off with the Pat McGrath stuff. I'm going to run through it pretty quickly. I think I've done a ranking palette already, or which one is right for you type of video. So the first one here is the Mothership 6 in Midnight Sun. And if I am not mistaken, I have done a multiple looks video with every single one of my Pat McGrath palettes. So if you like, you can check that out on my channel. Next up, we have the Mothership 7, the original Divine Rose. Sorry, I was trying to fiddle with my lighting a little bit so you can see it better. Next up, we have the latest Mothership palette, Mothership 9. This one is Utopian Dream. I'm going to shift it a little bit this way just so you can see the depth. My ring light is giving the palette a bit of a white cast. Mothership 2, the Sublime palette. Gorgeous greens and a lot of more softer everyday tones. The ever famous Mothership 5. Mothership 3, Subversive. And lastly, my favorite of the bunch, this is the Divine Rose 2 Mothership 8 palette. Oh, I die with this palette. It's so pretty. I just want to stare at it all day. It's so gorgeous. In addition to that, I do have these two holiday palettes. And you know what? For some reason, this palette is back in stock. I'm so amazed because I think everyone that is trying to get their hands on a Pat McGrath palette to try the formulation, this is the one. It is so freaking good. I prefer it to the most recent release, which I'm going to show you next. But the Celestial Divinity from 2 years ago, shut your face. This is so good. And this is the Celestial Odyssey palette, which is the holiday release from last year. And this one is back in stock again, and you can buy both holiday palettes together as a bundle. Next up, we have ABH's Norvina palette. I still like it. I still think it's really good. I've been using it quite a bit, especially the shimmers. So beautiful. Huda Beauty Mercury Retrograde, one of my newer palettes again. Oh, Oh, since I've been using this, I've sort of been wanting to dabble into color a little bit more. I know my drive to do that will be short-lived, but I'm just saying, I'm tempted because of this palette. Guys, I just realized something. I have to pause and talk about it. So I have a problem of like not caring about peeling the plastic off of things. And well, the plastic has not been peeled off of my Pat McGrath palette and many of the other ones here, but I've already taped over it. Shall we Charlotte Tilbury right now? This is her most recent holiday release. This is, oh, yep. Mayday. This is the Smoky Eyes Are Forever palette, her holiday release from last year. This, I believe, was 3 years ago, maybe at this point. Oh, can't really remember, 2 or 3 years ago. And the plastic's gonna fall out in this too. Here's my problem, guys. I can't seem to throw this away because I don't remember Prime, Enhance, and Smoke. But you know what? I'm gonna throw it. So that's going on the floor as well. This is the Bejeweled palette. I think this might be my second favorite. Smoky Eyes Are Forever is really good. I mean, I bought it obviously, but that would probably be on the bottom of the list out of the 3 that I own. And then obviously this one's gonna be my favorite. This is the Instant Eye Pillow Top, and you're gonna be thrown away as well. This is a basic palette, let's be honest, but I am a basic bee, so why not, right? All right, we only have 4 more palettes. So Sydney Grace, this is her Be Mine palette, which was her Valentine's Day release for this year. And it's grungy and dark, but also romantic at the same time. And surprisingly, I've been using this palette a lot. I've been wanting to pull it out and use certain colors or just come up with a look in general. I'm really trying to get familiar with the formula of Sydney Grace, and it's absolutely divine. Oh, a MAC eyeshadow escaped. But here is my singles palette from MAC, and surprisingly enough, I find that the more I keep this, the more they discontinue certain shades that I have in my collection, which is limiting me from using them in my videos. But either way, I'm not getting rid of them. Natasha Denona Retro palette. This is the midi one. This is another one that I find myself using a lot recently. Again, you see this? I don't peel the plastics off of things, but this is definitely with the current trend of rosy tones, rosy everything really, not just eyeshadow palettes, but been loving it. And finally, we have the Biba palette. Gorgeous. Sorry guys, something's happening with my neighbor's dogs. It's going crazy. But no regrets with this one. This is such a great go-to, like if you need everyday eyeshadows, like an everyday look, this is one that you can go to and know that you're gonna get some really bomb looks. Now, before we close out this video, I actually have 2 other eyeshadow palettes coming. I recently purchased them, which is the Natasha Denona Mini Retro palette, which has that green and like pink shades. And then I also bought the Natasha Denona sort of like face and eyeshadow palette, which has the eyeshadows on the bottom, a highlighter, and a blush. And I got that in the light version. So those will be added to my collection. Obviously, I won't get rid of them. They're going to be new. But that concludes this video. I hope you guys enjoyed going through my current collection. It has definitely grown from the last video that I did, but I think the fact that I'm keeping majority of them means I'm making better choices and really honing in on what my preferences are and sort of the risks I want to take with other eyeshadow palettes that aren't necessarily up my alley. So thank you again so much for joining me. Until the next video, I hope you all are doing well, taking great care of yourselves. I will see you all next time. Bye guys.